We are acculturated or socialized into the norms that our society expects of us. As men and women, there are expectations for how we will act in society in order for it to run smoothly. And so we're taught that from a very young age. And as a dancer, I have to be hyper-aware about my body language and what it means. For women, these social stereotypes are things like kindness, friendliness, cooperativity. For men, the cultural stereotypes are assertiveness, power, taking a stand. As a dancer, whatever I do, whatever movement I make, is very calculated, and it's always for a purpose, to try to get a specific perception from the audience. So when I'm doing something like hip-hop, for example, I notice that I spread my legs out wider, I lean forward a little bit more, and I'm definitely more aggressive. Something a little bit like this.
Election, opposing parties, you will never ruin the election. Yeah, we bring the stars out. We bring the women in the cars and the cards out. This is a toast of celebration, bring a glass out. And we can do this until we pass out. Election, opposing parties, you will...
Like that. So, that was what I would do as a hip-hop dancer. And as you can see, a lot of the things we saw in my dad or in the spread out, leaning forward aggression, that's what I was doing there. Whereas when I contrasted it with something more balletic, like lyrical or contemporary, I realized that I took on many of the feminine norms I was talking about earlier. That coy, kind of flirtatious look, definitely a more sexualized form. Something like this.
We aren't caught up in your love affair, and we'll never be royal. It's a run in our blood. That kind of love's just ain't for us. We aren't caught up in your love affair.
So that's what I would call a lyrical form of dance.
Thank you everyone, and thank you TEDx for inviting me. I am, and believe me, truly honored and excited to be here. My name is Ish, I am 28 and I come from Brussels, Belgium. When I was first asked to come here, I knew immediately what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about stories and the importance of storytelling. Because I believe that behind every story lies a great power, and deep down inside, I know that that power can change the world. Thank you everyone, and thank you TEDx for inviting me. I am, and believe me, truly honored and excited to be here. My name is Ish, I am 28 and I come from Brussels, Belgium. When I was first asked to come here, I knew immediately what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about stories and the importance of storytelling. Because I believe that behind every story lies a great power, and deep down inside, I know that that power can change the world. Now, probably some of you are wondering, how can a story change the world, right? Sounds maybe like a childish dream. Well, let me first start by explaining you how a particular story changed me. And it's a cultural story. Now, what you need to know about me before I start the story is that I'm Belgian, but I am also Moroccan. And us Belgians, we eat with the left hand, but us Moroccans, we eat with the right hand. When I was 7 years old, I walked up to school, and my mother had subscribed me for a warm meal at school. We always had the option of coming with our own sandwiches or being catered a warm meal. So I walked into the cafeteria, and I started eating, and my teacher walked up to me, and she said, "Ish, you need to eat with your left hand." And so I did, and I started eating with my left hand. Now, when I returned home for dinner, I was eating, and my mom walked up to me, and she slapped me on my left hand. She said, "Ish, you need to eat with your right hand." So I start eating with my right hand. Now, the next day, I walk up to school, it's lunch. I come into the cafeteria, I start eating, and now it's my teacher walks up to me, and she slaps me on my right hand. She said, "What did I tell you yesterday? You need to eat with your left hand." And I ate with my left hand. Now, that same evening, I returned home, and I always liked to be at table with my brothers and my sister. It was fun. And then suddenly, my mom came with a plate of food. Now, I start sweating. I didn't know if I had to eat with my left hand, with my right hand. Now I look around, and everyone at table saw me very confused. At that moment, it's my mom who took the time to tell me this story. And it's a religious story because Moroccan traditions are very much tangled with religious traditions. So she told me this story. It's a long story, but the finality of it is that it is said and told that when you eat with your left hand, you're allowing the devil to consume a meal with you. Now, believe me, as a 7-year-old, you don't want to chill with the devil next to you. So from that day on, to this day, I still eat with my right hand. Now, I go back to school, and I walk into the cafeteria, and I saw everyone eating, but it hit me at that moment because I finally understood why everyone was eating with the left hand and why I was eating with the right hand. You see, I needed that story that my mom told me. I needed that story to understand about cultures, to understand about differences. And I'm sure my teacher needed the story even more than I did. It would have helped her understand that I wasn't playing around with her, and it would have saved her from slapping my hands every single lunchtime. But that was my first experience concerning the power that lies behind the story, because I got so much information out of it. I was born in Belgium, but raised by Moroccan parents. And I walked through life with one Oriental leg and one Western leg. Now, for a long time, I really stood unbalanced in life. And it's funny how when two worlds collide, a new dynamic is created. You see, I was always surrounded by many differences in my life. And while people use those differences to create distances between each other, I was trying to use those differences to bring us together. Now,